welcome to Stories by the Campfire, brought to you by Tsanev Bushcraft. I'm Yoko Tsanev, survivalist, adventurer, and founder of Tsanev Bushcraft. In this podcast, I share personal stories from my survival experiences, real life moments that taught valuable lessons about resilience, nature, and the human spirit. Occasionally, I'll recount stories from others, always giving credit where it's due. Some of these accounts have been dramatized for a more immersive listening experience. At Tsanev Bushcraft, we're all about helping you develop the mindset, skills, and confidence to thrive in nature. We offer online and in person survival and bushcraft courses, expeditions, and personalized consultations. My new book, How to Survive and Have an Epic Adventure, is out now. Grab your copy and take your skills to the next level. Available on Amazon Kindle and print on demand, as well as a PDF download directly from our website, tsanevbushcraft.com/book. That's tsanev.bushcraft.com/book. Check it out, it's amazing. Join our community at adventures.tsanebushcraft.com and connect with fellow explorers to learn more, get access to exclusive content, and share your expertise. So, gather around the campfire, it's time for a story. In this episode, I share a personal survival campfire story, and it's about the fire that almost never burned, struggles in the rainforest. After listening to this, please let me know in the comments if you agree or not with my conclusions at the end. The lighter flicks. A small flame sputters, twisting against the humid air, trembling like a wounded hummingbird caught in a storm. Fragile, erratic, fighting against the inevitable. It clings to life for a second, stretching thin. The heat shimmers, flickers. The rain presses down. A single drop lands, hissing, killing the spark instantly. Smoke curls upward, thin and weak. The rainforest exhales, swallowing it whole, indifferent. The jungle hums with restless energy. The thick, wet air clings to every surface, heavy with the scent of damp earth and rotting wood. In the distance, a howler monkey bellows, a deep, guttural call reverberating through the canopy like a warning. Insects drone in a relentless buzz, their wings slicing through the humid air. The slow patter of rain filters through layers of tangled leaves, tapping against the broad, waxy foliage like an unending whisper. Somewhere unseen, a branch creaks under the weight of something moving, deliberate, patient. The rainforest is never silent. Even in the struggle for fire, it watches. The young loco squats over the fire pit, jaw tight, fingers clenched around the useless lighter. His tinder damp, his kindling soggy, his firewood soaking wet. The rain, slow but unrelenting, drums against the canopy above. He flicks again, a spark, a flicker, another death. The flame never stood a chance. His ancestors mastered this, but even here, deep in the jungle, where modern life barely makes its mark, the younger generation is losing touch with the skills that once defined survival. Fire making, shelter building, reading the land, these are no longer passed down as they once were. I have seen it before in other remote places. The slow erosion of ancestral knowledge, not through corruption or conquest, but through quiet dependence on convenience. Lighters replace fire drills, corrugated metal sheets replace leaf shelters, factory made machetes preferred over the carved blades of their forebears. The old ways aren't entirely forgotten, but they are fading, slipping away like embers in the wind. Here in the jungle, there is no room for dependency on plastic lighters and dead big fuel. Fire is survival. It means warmth, cooked food, protection. Without it, the night belongs to the cold, to the insects, to the prowling eyes in the darkness. And yet, so many of the younger generation have lost the skill, leaning instead on fading comforts brought from distant cities. The young man tried his lighter one more time, and another, but the fire almost never burnt again. He came to my camp at dawn, and his hands, strung together with twine, were several piranha, fresh, their scales still glistening with river water. The early light filtered weakly through the thick canopy, casting the jungle in deep shadow. Barefoot, his steps were soundless on the damp earth, his presence as natural as the mist curling from the river. He stopped near the fire pit, gaze flicking to the cold ashes, then to me. His expression remained neutral, but the expectation was clear. An unspoken understanding, a gift, a trade, simple and silent, the way it had always been done in places where words mattered less than actions. My lunch in exchange for coffee. I handed him the jar, the pot, and two steel cups, a silent agreement, a gesture that I too wanted coffee before lunch. But the fire must come first. He took the items without a word, setting them down beside the pit. The morning air hung thick with the scent of damp earth and the faint traces of last night's extinguished fire. Somewhere in the distance, a toucan called, its voice sharp against the muffled sounds of the waking jungle. He knelt, brushing away stray leaves and bits of debris from the fire pit. My fire pit, a shallow ring of blackened earth and scattered embers, sitting at the heart of the smoke clearing I chose it for a camp, set high above the river, far enough from the water's reach, but close enough that I can hear its steady murmur through the trees. It's the sixth day on my own in the rainforest. The plan was simple: travel by boat 150 kilometers deep into the Jatapu River basin, get dropped off, and spend days in the wild. I hired an old fisherman from Itapiranga, the small town closest to here, to haul my kayak and gear upriver, leaving me to make my way back down alone, paddling, navigating the labyrinth of channels, testing my skills against the raw, untamed jungle. If luck was on my side, I would cross paths with locals, willing to share their knowledge, how they read the land, how they track animals, how they recognize the subtle shifts in nature that signal change. Not to intrude, not to ask questions they did not want to answer, but to listen, to observe, to learn from those who understood this place in ways no outsider ever could. But there is another reason for this journey, one that keeps me awake at night, a whisper of a legend. Somewhere deep within this network of rivers and hidden tributaries lies a cave, spoken of in fragments and half-truths. A place untouched, buried within the rainforest's labyrinth veins. It is said to be a haven for prowling jaguars and the giant otters that rule these waters, territorial and relentless. As far as I know, only one outsider has ever found it. I am determined to be the next. The jungle, however, had other plans. 100 kilometers downriver, before I reached this stretch of wilderness, I passed something that gnawed at me. A massive missionary ship docked at a remote village. White hull, gleaming decks, the kind of vessel that does not belong here. They come bearing medicine, education, faith. but they bring something else too: dependency. I have seen it before in other places, the slow erosion of survival knowledge, not by force, not by war, but by quiet reliance on things that do not last. Plastic replacing woven palm leaves, processed food replacing foraged roots, lighters replacing fire drills. I have no quarrel with faith or medicine, but too much meddling, too much intervention, and the jungle takes something back in return. Now, in my camp, none of that matters. Here, the jungle still dictates its own rules. A steady drizzle taps against the tarp stretched low over my hammock. The fabric sags under the weight of the moisture, forcing me to tighten its lines more than once. Beneath it, I lie cocooned in my hammock, listening to the rhythmic patter of water filtering through the canopy. My kayak, slick with rain, rests a few meters away, propped against a fallen tree, safe from the river's creeping edge. Everything in my dry bag is accounted for: machete, ferro rod, small cooking pot, a handful of rations. The jungle provides the rest. My fire pit, positioned deliberately on this elevated patch of earth, has been my lifeline every evening. It has kept me warm, driven away insects, cooked my food, but now the fire is failing. He mutters under his breath. The lighter flicks again, another spark, another failure. His movements are tight now, tense, frustration creeping in. He shifts his weight, flicks harder, nothing. The damp wood refuses. The rain, steady and patient, braces down. His hands tell the story, his face doesn't. Rushed, sloppy. He knows what's at stake: no fire, no coffee, his prize. And later, no food either. Predators. This deep in the rainforest, fish left uncooked is not just wasted. It's a signal. The scent will spread. The jungle listens, watches, waits. If we don't eat it, something else will, and it may also come for us too. He's feeling the pressure. Failure isn't just hunger, it's humiliation. In front of me, the outsider, the gringo. The unspoken weight of proving himself, of showing that he belongs to this place. The rain thickens. He grips the lighter again. Flick. Still nothing. I lean forward, watching him fumble with the wood, too wet. His kindling clumped together, useless. He knows it too, but he keeps trying, flicking the lighter, hoping something will catch. It won't. I step in. The fire must come first. I take my machete, plant my foot next to a thick, damp log, and split it down the middle with a single stroke. The blade bites deep, revealing the dry, untouched heart inside. Always dry on the inside. I hand him a piece and gesture. He watches as I angle the machete, using short, practiced stroke to shave fine curls from the wood, feather sticks, thin, delicate. The first real chance at flame. I don't need words. He watches, he learns. I reach into my pack, my ferro rod. He tilts his head slightly curious. A big lighter dies in the rain. This doesn't. I strike. Sparks shower down, bright against the gloom, biting into the dry wood. A breath, a glow, the flame takes. For a moment, relief. The fire is small, but it's there, licking at the curves of wood, fragile but alive. He exhales. I nod. We saved it. The pot goes on, the coffee will come soon. We wait. The hard part is done. The fire crackles, eating through the feather sticks, warming the damp air around us. Steam curls from the pot as the water heats, slow but steady. The jungle hums, unchanged, oblivious to our small victory. He turns his attention elsewhere, curious, observing. His eyes flick over my pack, my machete, the kayak propped against the tree. He crouches beside my gear, picking up a coil of paracord, turning it over in his hands. A moment of normalcy. A local going through a foreigner's belongings, not out of disrespect, but out of interest. I let him. It's routine. Every village, every river, every camp, it's always the same. The silent exchange. But then, disaster. A gust of wind rips through the clearing, the tarp shudders, the rain changes. Heavy now, relentless, the fire hisses, flickering violently, barely holding on. I see it, we might lose this. I glance at my camp. I should have thought about this sooner. High ground, too exposed, no wind cover. The fire is open to the elements, vulnerable. The young man notices too. He looks at me, eyes flashing with uncertainty. And just as I move to shield the fire, a figure shifts at the edge of my vision. As if emerging from the shadows, an elder steps slowly toward our camp, approaching from the depths of the jungle behind us. His movements are slow, deliberate, his gaze locked on the struggling fire. No rush, no hesitation, just quiet understanding. He is dressed not as you might expect, not in the woven garb of his ancestors, but in a weathered tracksuit, a faded t shirt, knee high rubber boots. Practical, safe from snakes. A man who has seen the jungle shift over decades, who has learned to adapt but never to forget. Without a word, machete in hand, he kneels not far from the fire. No questions, no judgment, just action. The blade glides across the bark of a nearby tree. The elder scrapes a handful of golden resin from it and tosses it onto the dying flames. The fire surges back to life instantly. The fire inhales, a crackle, a roar. The flames leap skyward defiant. The young man's eyes widen. The lesson of the flame. I exhale, nodding. Some knowledge should never be lost. Fire is more than heat. Fire is more than the first spark. Fire is more than the first flame. It is the balance between skill and understanding, between modern tools and ancient wisdom. Without awareness for what the land provides, even the strongest flame will be swallowed by the storm. It's a testament to preparation, resourcefulness, and the will to survive passed down through generations. Without the wisdom of the elders and an understanding of local resources, modern conveniences mean little in the face of nature's unforgiving elements. The jungle doesn't care about convenience. A lighter in your hand is useless if you don't know what to burn. A machete is just a blade if you don't know how to use it. Survival isn't just about tools, it's about knowledge. Skill fades when it isn't passed down, and in the jungle, nature does not forgive. Thank you for listening to Stories by the Campfire. I'm Tsanev, and I hope today's tale sparked your sense of adventure and curiosity. Don't forget to join our community at adventures.tsanevbushcraft.com for exclusive content, discounts on online and in-person survival courses, expeditions, and more. Grab my book now, How to Survive and Have an Epic Adventure, and explore practical skills alongside powerful stories. Available to purchase on Amazon and directly on our website. Stay connected, stay prepared, and until next time, keep the fire burning.